Hi folks, it's John from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'd like to share with you a brief update. This is the Factory 5 Racing 65 Coupe. Earlier video, we shared with you where we were making the window frames and the inner door panels. We were talking about having actuators to pop the door open. Since then, a lot of progress has taken place. What we'll do in the next video is we're going to show you, we'll open the doors and give you an idea. In an earlier video, what we did is we had the cardboard, if you recall, simulating the glass, and then we had power to it with a battery just to show you there's full travel with the glass going up and down. Since then, we've taken everything apart. The guys have done some more metal work on the actual frame. You can see now it's a little bit different color. This is a powder-coated primer. So we've disassembled everything. We powder coated the inner frames and inner structure black, and then we've got a powder coated primer in all of the U channel. So basically all of the metal is protected with a powder coated primer. Then later what we'll end up doing is we'll sand this, we'll perform the body work on it, and this frame will be painted the same color as the car. We'll also show you, this is kind of just a teaser for now. A lot of people were asking us about the quarter glass window. What are you going to do if you have the window frame for both driver and passenger? What are you going to do with this rear window section? Well, here in Ontario, Canada, if you order the optional plexiglass windows where they have the little dome or the piece that basically glues on the outside and a sliding plexiglass, Ontario safety standards doesn't allow to have plexiglass as a window for the car. So some people, what they've done, obviously they haven't gone to this extent of creating these windows and window frames. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so we've got safety glass, so it's going to be real safety glass that will be installed here. We're also doing safety glass here. So you can see we have a piece of metal in here. So now you have the gap or the spacing. Hopefully that shows up in the camera fairly easily. This is how we're going to finish it off. So structurally, we've got, there's a metal frame that we've added to the inside of this roof that's fastened to the fiberglass poly body. So we've got a reinforcement piece going across. In this bottom section, which would be your inner fender, where this metal plate goes down, we've basically cut a hole through the bottom of the fiberglass, the top of the fiberglass, and we'll show you in another video how we did all that. So basically, we've welded a bracket. This is now a solid piece. It's going to stay with the body forever. So this is attached, reinforced on the top, and it's welded in to the bracket. The bracket is bonded with a 3M bonding material to the top part of the body on the inside. On the bottom part, what we've done is they've gone all the way through, and where our hinge plate and structural support is, we've welded a bracket onto this bottom piece, and it's reinforced. So it's nice and strong in here. It gives you some extra strength. We're going to change a little bit of the body here so that this is going to be smooth. The safety glass will be a permanent piece of glass that's going to be installed, and then we're going to finish it off with body. So then once the body work is performed, all this will be the same color as the car, this divider piece, and also the frame. So quite a bit of progress. Doesn't look like much, but a lot of progress there. The next video what we'll do is we'll set up power to it so we can share with you how the actuators work. Because if you can imagine, with this being closed, the window being up, we've got the actuators and brackets installed now. We're going to use a keyless entry system. So basically right on the key fob itself, simply push one button. The actuator is going to release the door, and the door will pop out by itself about 2 inches. And that's how we gain access to get into the car from the outside. On the inside, we've got the normal remote handle to get out of the car once we're inside it. There's been quite a bit more progress, which doesn't look like much here, and I apologize for it being so dusty and dark, but there's a few things that we'd like to enhance, and one of them is the structural integrity on the 65 Coupe between the body itself and how it's fastened or attached to the frame. So the frame is state-of-the-art. Factory 5 Racing has done an incredible job with the engineering and the building of the frame and the structure and the suspension. And then with the body, there's only a few fastening points with this fiberglass shell and how it attaches to the body. So what we're going to do is we're enhancing, just making it more safe, in my personal opinion. It's very, very difficult, I think, for their engineering department to come up with a solution that someone could build this car in their garage and have the structural integrity and have some extra strength. So there's a few points, and the main point is here in this rear hatch area. So in an earlier video we talked about fitting the rear glass, the rear spoiler. We're going to have it as part of the body as opposed to having the exposed rivets. So our customer has chosen a cleaner look with the spoiler and with the overall look of the body. One thing that we noticed when we were moving the car around a little bit when it was on dollies, there's not a lot of support here in this quarter panel area. So I'm not going to be rough with the car, but just a slight little bit of pressure with your hand, even just leaning against it, from this point, which is quite strong, to this other point up here, there's no support pieces fastening this part of the fiberglass body to any part of the structure. So what we've done, without boring you too much, both right and left sides are different. So what I have in my hand is a custom bracket that we've made for this side, being the passenger rear side. We have the other side mocked up and ready to install. But with the camera, what we'll do is we'll just show you every piece of fiberglass on these cars is a little bit different. So this little V that you see here, first of all, this is mild steel, and what we did is we have it removable. It has a welded nut on the back with a special bracket or plate, and then we've made this bracket, made it nice and strong, and welded it together, and then we have this piece of channel welded to this tubing. So this bolt is removable and also adjustable. So this bottom plate here, you can see where the top part of the bracket is rounded. Hopefully you can pick that up in the video. So this has all been powder coated, by the way. So this bracket here is separate to this plate, and you can see on the back where we've welded a nut onto this plate. And the reason why we've done this is what we're going to do is we want to have some strength. So this channel piece, you can see there's a little cutout here. That contour is made specifically for this side because of being in the mold. It doesn't have a perfect line. So we wanted to make sure that we were supporting it properly. We didn't want it to be too sharp, pushing onto the fiberglass body. But essentially what happens is this piece will go underneath, and it's going to support that. It'll be right up against that channel, and then you can see here on this roll bar where we've done a little bit of grinding. Hopefully you can see that in the camera can pick that up in the video. So what we're going to do is, once that's in the proper location, which is approximately there, what we'll do is along that bottom edge, we're going to grind that off where we've powder coated it. We're going to weld that bracket solid onto this roll bar, and then we'll be able to touch this up with black paint. This will all be covered with upholstery. We're going to have this all carpeted, but for structural support, we're going to use a 3M adhesive that's going to be a bonding adhesive to go between that little L bracket and this piece, so that when this is attached to the body and then that bracket is welded to the frame, you've got a lot of strength there. So it's going to make this a lot more stable in this area. So this steel has been powder coated, and then we'll be able to touch that up once we weld that in place. So that's just going to give it some more strength. Now some of you would ask, why do we have the bolt in there with the nut? Something we have to be really careful of whenever we're doing this build is we want to be able to have the ability, if at any time we want to lift the body back off of this chassis, we'll be able to do that. So by welding the bracket on the roll bar, we can just spin that bolt back out where the nut is welded to the bracket. This main bracket will stay with the body. The body can be lifted off, and we can still do whatever modifications we want to do with the car. we can set the body back onto the chassis and then simply just re-bolt that. So the camera person can kind of come to this side and then just show you in place there. So we have the other bracket just sitting there once again. So you've got the strength on both sides. So that's going to give us the extra stability that we really like. When we come up to this point, if the camera person comes up the driver's side, I'll stay on the passenger side, there's another point where we're going to add another fastening point between the roof and the roll bar, and that's going to be in this corner here. So basically, in this area on both driver and passenger side, we've already made same idea. We've got a couple of brackets with speed nuts. We're going to have, we've got the curvature that we need for the roof. That once again will be bonded to the roof section, and then this angle has been cut precisely to be welded onto this part of the roll bar. They will bolt together, sorry, it'll go this way. So they'll be bolted together. They're powder coated, so they're never going to rust, and they're going to be on the back side of the headliner. So it's going to give us another really nice strong point for the body fastening to this section. Once again, removable if we need to lift the body off. And the other area we're going to add is when we have the front roll bar here in this front corner. Because believe it or not, when we're pushing on the body of the car, it does flex in this area. So we're going to have some additional fastening points in the center part of the windshield cowl. We're going to be using urethane like they recommend for all the newer cars. The urethane will hold the windshield in place, which will give it some strength and integrity here, but I like the idea of having additional brackets and mounting points. So our cowl is going to be bolted basically in the front from the Factory 5 design. There's a few screws that go down the rocker panel, a couple of mounting points at the back, but then from here we're going to add basically 6 more or double, almost 3 times the amount of fastening points. So we'll have really nice structural support above the windshield at both sections, the back part of the roof in both sections, and then basically in the middle of the rear quarter panels on both sides. So some guys would say, well, you're probably over-engineering it or overthinking it, but when you've got, whether you're doing a Coyote motor, a 347, or just a 302, this is an extremely light car. It's going to be very, very fun to drive, and we want to try and make it as safe as we can. We also don't want to have squeaks and rattles and wind noise. So by taking extra time to make simple brackets like this, it's still removable, but it does make it to be a much more, I think, a safer car overall, in my opinion. So we'll continue with the work in the build, and then we'll show you some more updates as we continue. So this is the 65 Coupe from Factory 5 Racing. And I thank you for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.